around and
I would leave government out of things, I'd leave religion out of things, I'd leave any ism out of things, racism, prejudice, all of them, and go, right, no. And if you want people to be responsible and accountable, you have to give them responsibility and accountability. Yeah. And that has to come from themselves. And the sales team have said to the sales manager, we operate better when you're in the room. Sales manager came to me and went, why is that? I went, you don't know? Well, it's because I fire up. Because you're the leader.
Right, okay, how are we doing, boys and girls? So, Phil and I, today we're on Muck and Brass podcast. We're going to talk today to Stephen Logan, whose background is marketing and sales. So
Predominantly sales.
Predominantly sales, yes.
So, definitely a sales guy.
So obviously we wanted to talk a bit about sales in businesses and the approaches that different businesses sort of take. Phil's background is predominantly sales to start with, weren't you? So
sales for, I'd say 10 years in excess, so whether it be multi-trade, direct door to door, so yeah, that's my background.
But it'd be interesting to sort of work out, to sort of discuss the ins and outs of sales, but in how different companies approach sales based on size and stuff like that. So over to you, Steve. How did you get started in sales, and what's your background basically?
So I'm 20 plus years in sales now. I got into sales when I was 21. Yeah. So yeah, 20 plus years. We don't go into our
usually get less for murder, but there you go.
But do you know what? I love sales, and I think ever since I was little, parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, gift of the gabbing. Whether that was a blessing or a curse when I was little, I don't know.
He's definitely a showman.
But
Against the kid.
I get the buzz from actually being in front of people and going, this is what we can achieve. How do you want to do it? And them going, I don't know what you're on about. So whether it's a confidence thing for people, a resilience thing, a mental block of I don't like talking to them or I can't talk to them, or sort of closing basically. Yeah. People don't know how to close because they're reluctant to close, because they're reluctant to ask for something.
I don't even think it's a closing thing so much as engagement to start with. A lot of business owners we speak to, they're almost like, I can do the job, I'm a technician, but how the hell do I go about getting customers? And I get asked all the time on YouTube, even through these means and FaceAche and stuff like that, about how do I go about gathering customers? And it's almost like, well, you've got to get used to talking to people, and they sort of recoil when you say this sometimes.
We've done a lot of personality profiling around this, around the psychology of sales, around the psychology of people, and the personality profiling that we've adapted allows very deliberately to go, I know I can't talk, me as my individual characteristic, I know I can't talk to certain individuals in certain professions, in certain job titles, because it's not a case of respect me, they don't have, their personality says, Stephen, you're not my cup of tea. And as soon as I realise that as a salesperson, I'm going, okay, I'm not going to pitch to you.
Demographics, high dem.
Yeah, there's a high dem, but it's also the stylistic of their characteristic within themselves, which they're born with. Yeah. And if they're not going to change over years, I can't convince them that I'm right for them as a sales coach, as a business coach, or as an influencer or whatever. That's them. Yeah. And that's absolutely fine. Now, as soon as I can realise who I work with better,
tailor it.
Then I can tailor my email to them, my LinkedIn message to them, my Facebook approach to them, my phone call to them, my WhatsApp message to them, because I know what they're looking for. Yeah. Traditionally and generically, yes, you're going to get your objection to the rule and all that, and I get that, but I know the professional sector, if you like, the legal services, financial services, your IFAs, your practitioners, all of those who are very traditionally, very detail orientated and like to be very deliberate in their behaviours, don't like me because I am very energetic and all over the place like a firecracker. Yeah. And they go, you're too much. Yeah. You're just too much for me. And I go, that's fine. But me knowing that now,
saves you a lot of time.
I can walk in a room, I can prospect and go, I'm not even going to bother.
It's funny as well. I mean, we had that conversation where it came to the difference between sort of window cleaning customers, commercial versus residential. because how you would approach a residential customer, Mrs. Jones's bungalow, for example, you would not approach in the same way as like a Porsche showroom or
Exactly.
and it feeds into what you were saying about, obviously it's a different demographic and you can cater for both. You just need to know how to approach each individual personally on a personal level, find out what their demographic is, how they react to information, and sort of tailor your pitch, if you like, to that sort of thing.
Pretty much exactly that. And I learned very early on from my early sales days in mobile phones, working on the high street, pitching to, and this was when mobile phones were 3310s and 8210s. So
Best of the best.
A brick.
Proper mobile phones. You could change the faces of them, and I've got a pink one today. I've got a blue one today.
I've got to say, he's very put out by the fact that he can't play Snake on his smartphone.
No longer got Composer.
All these things that you go, this is what a mobile phone's for, but now I have to be tech savvy to use it.
Yeah.
It's like, but imagine that first coming out, and the non-tech savvy people sending text messages and picture messages. So you've got your grandparents who need it with the screens that are only 2.5 inch screens, and they're going, I can't read that. So you've got to kind of support them, but at the same time you've got the next
trendy
generation
youngsters that want the latest thing, and
so you've got to sell. You've got to be able to sell. And retail is where I learned how to do this, because you're selling to your grandparents in 1 minute, then the next minute you've got your 16-year-old kids, we call them, who wanted something snazzy and fancy, and you've got to be able to learn to pitch to all audiences. So mums and dads in the same conversation, as well as the child in the conversation or the grandparents. So you've actually got 4 people making a buying decision now.
Yeah.
So you take that into business,
and
you've got 4 people making a buying decision as a business committee. You've got your financial director, you may have an ops director, you may have a sales director, you may have the MD.
You've got to tick all the boxes.
You've now got to be able to pitch to each and every single one of them to give them the information that makes them go, he knows what he's talking about.
We had this again we've approached a commercial company for window cleaning, and it's a brewery. Now the thing is, obviously a brewery will be a VAT registered big corporation type operation. And the thing that actually swung it was nothing to do with window cleaning. The thing that swung it was the fact that we were VAT registered. Because the guy at the top table was going, well, hang on a minute, if we use our current supplier, he is a small one-man operation, he's not that reliable, he's not VAT registered, we can't claim back for certain expenses, versus going with a company that's got multiple vehicles, that are more reliable, but also we have the added benefit of claiming all the VAT back. All of a sudden they're thinking, well, hang on a minute, it might only be pennies in real terms in VAT, but it's pennies in their pocket rather than elsewhere. And it's a little decision like that swung it, you know.
So it's understanding the customer's buying process. What do they actually want for a supplier? Do they want personal brand, do they want business brand, or do they want someone who actually knows how to run a business? So the higher up the corporate ladder you get, the more savvy you need to be as a salesperson, because you're not just asking, do you want your windows cleaning on a Tuesday for X amount of pennies? It's how do you want invoicing? How do you want to make payments? As soon as you start talking their language, you become more relatable.
Well, you're solving their problems for them before they happen, aren't you?
And that is always the key to every salesperson has to remember the most important person in the room is the customer.
100%.
And as soon as you take that on board and understand what do you need, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, can I do that for you? If I can't, I'll just figure something out. Maybe becoming VAT registered, or maybe getting an extra certificate, or maybe doing enhanced DBS checks if you're working in schools, colleges, etc. If that's what I need to do, and I have to spend that £80 on that badge to get your work, then that's what I need to do. But are you telling me, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, I have to do that to work with you because you're the most important person in the room? The trust levels go through the roof, and that's why people buy. They buy based on truth and results, based on relationship, but on results. You can be the most giving person, you can be the most trustworthy person, but if you leave dirty windows or tiles falling off roofs or gutters that don't operate correctly, no matter how nice you are as a person, they're going to walk away to the person who does deliver.
You're there to solve a problem, aren't you? And if ultimately you don't, then that's where you come a cropper. We had a conversation about sort of business relationships with people. When talking about how sort of, because obviously we're going VAT registered on the residential side, and then we're putting our businesses back together again. And obviously that brings about that awkward conversation about VAT.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden you've got, the customer has to incur that additional 20%. A lot of people that I speak to in the industry are sort of going, that's a big rise, that.
Yeah.
When you say 20% rise to anybody, automatically, psychologically, they're thinking that's going to be quite a heavy jump. But when you put it into perspective that 20% will buy you a cup of coffee and that you're not getting any richer, you're just passing that on. If you built a relationship with a customer, it doesn't seem to impact so much. If you've built that relationship and they can put it into a perspective and you communicate it effectively, it's not as big a drama as what people make out.
I think if you're doing residentials and you're charging £7.50 a house and you're saying 20%, so you're going up to £9, you may get some pushback because Dave, who's got a van, who's a window cleaner, is going to do it for £7.50. And is that £1.50 such a thing, such a big issue? Now, if you're doing 150 houses a day between all your fleet, you've got to communicate that to everyone. Are you just going to send a blanket text message saying from April the 1st, so you're giving them 2-month window, this is happening, and we have to become VAT registered because of HMRC and rules and regulations, we apologise? Or do you swallow some of it and you say, do you know what, it's going to be £8.50 including VAT?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the
bring it up 10% maybe.
Yeah, so you do your balancing act of we've got to swallow some of this ourselves because
it's not fair in some respects. In your head, you're thinking it's not fair, but
ethically, just because you've made a decision to go VAT registered because you have to, passing that £1.50 on to everyone. Yes, you're not getting the profit, but as the consumer, I don't care if you're getting the profit.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So if you're going to balance it and meet in the middle and say we're putting our prices up by £1.
Well, I was just saying about in terms of relationship. I mean, I've raised the price by 20% on a good chunk of our customers, where the cost would have been, let's say, £15, and in real terms, it's gone up by £3. But I've rung the customer direct, and I've sort of, rather than, like you say, blanket text, email.
Depends how many you've got.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, because I'm off the tools, I have the luxury of basically saying, right, today I'm going to ring these 50 customers, and I'm going to do that over the next sort of 20 days in the build-up to going VAT registered. And I found that the drop-off has been literally, I swear to you, I mean, I've done 500 phone calls over the last sort of 2 weeks, and I've lost 6 customers as a result of it. Whereas if I'd have sent a blanket message, I'd have probably lost a third. So because there's that personal relationship, and I've said, listen, I'm not getting any richer. It's something I have to do. I'm sorry, it's a bit of an imposition on your part, but this is happening. I have it to do. And they're all like, yeah, Chris, completely understand. Just let me know when the change happens, you know.
I think the personal touch naturally works with everyone. And no matter how big up the business you go and how corporate you are, if you've got 1,000 customers and you've got 10 salespeople, that's only 100 customers each. Now, I've seen it happen in business that I've worked in, and the sales director comes in and goes, right, guys, we're all putting our prices up from January the 1st. You need to communicate to your customers. However, tell us which top 20, top 25 do not get the price increase because it's going to impact sale. It's going to impact revenue over the 12, 18 months, 2 years. Now, if you've got people in fixed contracts in the corporate world,
you can't do anything about that, can you?
Then you're fine. So ring fence these lot. Done and dusted, your top 20 is safe. But you've still got to have that conversation with your top 20 over the next 18 months to say, the price increase has happened, it was going to happen in 6 months. You've got 18 months grace.
Because you're safe.
Because you're in contract. However, when we come to renegotiate in 18 months, just making you aware now, this is what we're going to be putting on the table. So again...
But that forethought, the fact that you've stopped, taken time out of your day and said, you know what, I need to tell these people this.
Relationships.
You've built that relationship. You've not just taken it for granted. You've not treated them as a transaction. They're not just coin. You've treated them as a person and said, look, this is going to impact you at some point. I'm giving you fair warning.
So that again comes down to who's the most important person in the room. The customer. The difficulty you've got is when you're in corporate world, the sales director, the MD, has to remember the salesperson is their customer. So so if you've got a team of salespeople, you go to them and dictate, this is what's happening, go forth and do.
There's a problem in its own right with that, though, isn't there?
Of course there is.
I mean, what happens when you turn around? Let's say I'm the service manager, and I turn around to my sales team and I say, this is what's happening. There is a danger. Your sales team will say, the powers of be have decided. All of a sudden, they're making the sales team out to be, or their boss to be the bad guys, and they're just giving them the bad news.
Yeah.
And that's a no-no, isn't it?
Well, being in car sales, we've all been sat in a room, with a car salesperson.
100%.
Let me go and check with the boss. Let me see what they say. And they toddle off over there to the boss. Yeah. It could be Betty on reception, as far as we know. But you've gone over there.
Whoever it is, they're the bad guy.
They've come back on. Boss has said no, that's the fixed price. I can only do that. I can give you some mats. Or I can
fuel.
I can fuel your car up, but I can't take the extra 500 quid off the vehicle that you're asking for. Yeah. The boss over there said so.
Yeah. Removal of liability.
And that's the thing. So you're dead right. The difficulty you've got is the communication from higher up to sales team or account managers or engineers, whatever you've got going out onto site, the face fronting people. The message has to be clarity. Be honest with them, be transparent. This is what's happening. The cost of supplies from all over the world have gone up. We have to pass our cost on to you. We are not charging you what we're being charged. We're swallowing some of it, which we have to. We appreciate you're going to take, the price is going to go up. However, all of our competition's prices are going to be the same. They're going to put their prices up at the same time.
And it's a game of Russian roulette as to whether they're as reliable as us. And
they're getting the same stock from China or Japan or Russia or wherever. So our price has gone up. Their price is likely to go up as well. So there shouldn't really be much change in value. There shouldn't be much change in service. We're still going to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. Therefore, there's no blame culture. And that's another thing we have to kind of get rid of, which we do a workshop called the Culture of Excellence, which allows the transparency of communication to come through everyone. Because there's no blame culture. It's not, sales said this, so it's their fault. Or operations didn't deliver this, so it's their fault.
No, the government has said this, X, Y, and Z, blaming them. Everyone loves to blame the government, so
we can't blame anybody. No. Let's just be accountable, suck it up and deal with it. And the more mature we are, and the phrase, let's grow up about things, we probably can't say as much as we want to say to people, because being politically correct and dehumanising people.
What's this politically correct he's on about? Yeah.
Just in case there are people who want to be politically correct. However, I'm very much in a world of, we're grown-ups. So let's 100%. Suck it up and deal with it. I can only be accountable for the food I put on my kids' table. So therefore, I've got to do what I've got to do. I've got to fight my fight. If that means I've got to pass on a cost of £1.50 because that's the right thing for my family, then I've just got to communicate that effectively. Yeah. Like you said, ring your customers, be open and transparent about it and go, we
have it to do.
This is what life is. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. I am VAT registered because my business is a solid, reliable, dependable business. I'm not Barry in a van with a bucket.
Yeah.
I've got to do these things right because all of these things, all the stuff to make these windows right costs money, and therefore I have to pay VAT. So I have to become VAT registered, so I'm not paying over my odds.
Thing is, I think
there's that balance in that.
If you explain to the customer though that in real terms, you are an unpaid tax collector on behalf of the government, and in some respects, but obviously not so much a blame game. Not so much a blame game, but if you turn around and say that, they're ultimately like, they might not care. But at the same time, if how you phrase it, you say, listen, we've been really reliable, thanks to your support. We have grown to a point now where we have it to do. So the government is imposing on us that kind of language is blame, isn't it? So
I would personally not even bring government into it.
Yeah.
Because you are
It's a blame game, isn't it?
One, it's a blame game, but also you don't know how they voted.
No,
Yeah,
no.
the government's just fucking, excuse me language, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
Because if they voted for the current government, they're going to go, yeah, I voted for them, so it's my fault.
Yeah, but to be fair,
And who's actually going to put their hand up and say, yeah, it was my fault?
let's be honest though, there will be buyer's remorse. Let's just say that with the current gun. Just saying.
But without getting political, personally,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I wouldn't, in any kind of negotiation, in any kind of
But ultimately, just sort of
debate,
turning around and
I
saying,
would leave government out of things. I'd leave religion out of things. I'd leave any ism out of things.
ism.
Yeah, racism, prejudice, all of them, and go, right, no,
Yeah.
there's a fact going on here.
Yeah.
My prices have gone up because I'm VAT registered. I'm VAT registered because my business has grown. I've had to pay VAT on that thing over there. I've had to pay VAT on that thing over there
To deliver the service for you.
to deliver the service for everybody that gets this service. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And Dave round the corner may not be VAT registered, but he's also not paying for that machine that's going to purify the water and get the right
Get the right standard. Yeah.
get the right stand to do what you're doing. So £1.50 over 4 weeks, whatever it is,
Price of a cup of coffee.
it's not even the price of a cup of coffee. And it's much.
13 quid a year, Chris, or 4 weekly anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's what, 19 quid a year
Yeah, yes, is it.
on the VAT.
But it's not like I say. I think business owners, they're so in it. They're in their train set. They don't often stick their head above the parapet. They're just in the zone and they just don't look around. And I think they spend so much time looking inwards. In some respect, it kind of overwhelms them to the point where they're just like, how the hell do I carry this out?
It's easier to stay in
Yeah.
than to come out and go,
Big picture.
oh,
Yeah.
is that what this looks like?
Yeah.
I don't like this. I'm just going to go back.
Which would probably explain why a lot of guys get to the point, and I've spoken to many over the years that have said, just stay under the VAT threshold, stay small, and there are, and thing is, there are merits to that, but at the same time, it's a trade-off because over time, you will be pushed up against inflation. You will be forced at some point to make a decision.
But at the same time, if you're going to go for corporate clients, hotels, restaurants, car showrooms, and all the rest of it, and they're saying, "Are you VAT registered?" and you're going, "Yes, great,"
Winner.
then unfortunately for Dave and Betty round the corner,
Yeah, they're going to get left behind eventually.
but in your world, you don't mind leaving Dave and Betty behind, and no disrespect to
No.
them, because Barry round the corner is going to pick them up. They just want their windows cleaning, and for the extra, for the £19 a year, you've just got an £150 site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as your business grows, your target audience changes, and your demographic therefore changes. So your language and your behaviours change with it. And those who stick their head under the table and bury it in the sand and don't see how you've got to evolve to become what you want to be, great. If you don't want to be that, and you don't want to evolve, and you don't want to be more successful or a different successful, because let's remember, a one-man band who gets up in the morning and does his 8 hours and then can pick his kid up and drop off, and if that's their life and that's their success and that's what they define as happy, then hats off to you. And own it and love it and be it. Absolutely stand in the pub with your mates and go, this is me, I love what I do and I'm happy.
Yeah.
If you want more, and not everyone does, and if you want the extra van, and if you want to take people on, and then the natural progression is, I'm now earning as a business X, I need to change how I behave. So I need to become VAT registered. If that means I lose these houses down here,
Very sadly, so be it. Yeah.
I'm choosing that.
I remember, so obviously for those that don't know, Stephen helped me scale up from being one-man band to having multiple vehicles. Thank you for that.
Do you remember the question I asked you in the pub garden?
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
what do you need more than anything else for your business to be successful? And it took about 10 minutes to work out the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be off the tools. Get away, get out the train set.
At the beginning, when it was just you, I asked you the question, as a window cleaner, what do you need to be successful? Water? No. Sponge? No. Ladders? No. Keep going, Chris, keep going. And he stumbled around, he went, I don't know. I went, do you know what you need to be a successful window cleaner? What? Windows. And he went, what do you mean? I went, well, if that building's got 8 windows on it, and that one's got 4, they're going to pay you twice as much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's where we took it from being residential.
We realising really the future for us lay in commercial, just purely where we are. And it just ironically happened that pub was actually one of the customers that we service now. But
as a window cleaner, you need more windows than...
Or bigger jobs, bigger ticket items, you know.
The bigger the building, the more windows.
Correct.
And you spend more time on that building, you get £150 a day.
We worked out...
Compared to...
You know, we worked out that ultimately it was a case of... not being stuck in the train set, but also it was a case of looking outwards is as much of an advantage as looking inwards. You can refine when you're a one-man band, you're looking in all the time, and you can refine your process and all this sort of stuff. Even if you take on one guy and you've got one van, you can refine your process and all this sort of stuff. But eventually, you get to a threshold where you're almost like, I'm up against this now to the point where I have to step back. Because we hit a ceiling, we can't push further any forward until I step off the tool. So,
as humans, we've only got a certain amount of time and a certain amount of energy. So if you're charging per house based on time, there's only so many jobs you can do in a day. There's only so many jobs you can do in an hour. So therefore, it's how do I scale that? Well, you get more men to do more houses at the same rate, or I go, there's a bigger building, I can do one building as opposed to doing 5 buildings, but do I charge more for that one building than the 5? Yeah. So it takes the same time to do that than it does, and I get more for doing that. Yeah, well, do that then. So you don't have to grow headcount, you just have to grow mentally. And I think that's what business owners over the years I've seen, whether that's one-man bands that I work with all the way up to £26 million businesses, it is defining who you are and what you can do. What are you capable of delivering in the time frame you've got? Because we have only all got this amount of time to do it. Now, if you say to a customer, I'll be with you in 6 weeks, and they say, okay, that's great, you've still got to be there in 6 weeks. Just because you've delayed it, you've still got to deliver it. So how do you deliver it if you're backlog?
Scale up. Scale staff, team, members.
You've got to add.
The most common complaint I have for guys that are in one-man bands, particularly in window cleaning, is they're always behind. But the only reason they're always behind is because they don't have that safety net of staff. They don't have the reliability of staff, and that and burnout. To be fair, when you pair that with burnout
and managing expectations, so it goes back to what you were talking about before: communication. If you've got 100 customers who want to be seen every 3 months or in a quarter, you've got 60 working days for 100 people. That's easy. When you put that up to 200, 300, 400 because you're growing organically just through being good at your job, and then you get to, I've now got 400 people in a quarter, which is 60 days. Oh, okay, that's like 7 a day. Can I do 7 a day? It's a push. All it takes is to have 1 day off.
Then you've got to do 14 the next, 21 the next.
What
have we had today with...
wind, rain, loss of lights.
Yeah, what did we have last week?
Snow,
ice.
Yeah.
So all these things are out of your control as deliverers. But if you're on a time restraint and you're pushing it as a single, or as a double, or as a 3-4 man band, you can only work the amount of hours that God gives you.
But I think that when you go back to expectation,
you've got to communicate.
The expectation from a one-man band is way different. To someone like Amazon. I mean,
one-man band, they can afford to take tomorrow off because they're only paying themselves.
Yeah,
it's their revenue that's being lost at the end of the day when you run a business, as you well know, Chris, and yourself, Steve. It's if you're off tomorrow, you're still covering the £750 a day expenditure for your base, your operations, your all your costs are standard, your insurance, they still need to be paid.
What was it you were saying? You said to me, I can't remember what the figure was, but to keep the lights on, no windows being cleaned, to keep the lights on, the vehicles fueled, and the staff paid. There was a figure you came to per day. What was it?
My daily operating costs.
Yeah, that was it.
with all staff.
Bearing in mind that he has a unit and stuff that I don't have a unit and stuff.
Is £750 per day based on a 5-day working week.
But then you go to a one-man band. Like you say, his running costs is his van, and if it's yes, all right, might have to pay the rent and stuff, but it can always the shortfall is not as much as it is for someone like,
Of course.
like, you know.
But that's the risk. That's the risk you take on board when you go. I'm going to have a unit. I'm going to have a van. I'm going to have 2 vans, 3 vans, 4 vans, 5 vans.
Yeah.
I'm going to have 1 staff, 2 staff, 10 staff.
But that's
15 staff.
that's the difference between the expectation of a one-man band versus a limited company, vans, you know. And all that. So the thing is, you have to step up yourself rather than it's not that you get more people. It's that you also, yes, you do get more people, but you have to grow as a person to accommodate that in as much as you have to grow a business as it is. So
But you also have to be willing to let go of the customers that you've had for 5 years, who actually a drain on your resources now.
we actually had that conversation within like literally the first 2 weeks, wasn't it? Go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Chris. No, I'm
Well,
sorry.
there was a customer called Christine, and we used to clean her windows, and I had her for 8 years, and I took on my first member of staff, and I remember agonising to the phone, with you, and I said, we're losing a handful of customers because it's not me cleaning the windows, and I was thinking to myself, it's a mistake, growing's a mistake, and blah blah. I need to, and you very calmly sort of turn around to me and he says, "Good, let the trash take themselves out." And it wasn't nothing being any disrespectful.
I don't think
to
I
them.
used that language.
Well, no, you said let the low, effectively something like the low hanging fruit. So you deal with the low hanging fruit. Let those that don't want to fall into your system go because they're not your ideal customer. You're changing as a business. So there's someone that says, Phil, I need, I'm not happy with your guys cleaning windows. You need to come and clean the windows because you do it better. Are you gonna slow yourself down for that one customer, or are you going to just say, listen, I'm really sorry, if you're not happy, we'll happily send him back until it's right, but ultimately I'm not in a position to do your windows anymore. You have to sacrifice
somewhere.
So what we found over the years, because my wife runs a business and she's got staff and she's grown, and what we found over the years was the personal brand of the business. So Kim was the front and face and delivered everything, the training, the mediating, being in front of customers, being in front of tenants. She did everything. But we couldn't grow beyond her and her name and her brand. So me and my waistcoat.
Yeah.
People are like, Stephen, we want you and your waistcoat. You've got to deliver it. And I go, that's fine. But you're going to have to pay this because my time is worth this.
Yeah.
I get that. That's fine. We'll pay for that because I can't send somebody else because you're not going to have the same experience.
They're not you.
Because they're paying for me and my stories and my weight and everything I bring to the table. So 25 years of business experience, etc. But with Kim and having 40 contracts across the UK,
it's not viable.
It's not viable. So there had to be one from Kim understanding to trust somebody else to do something. So letting go of the reins somewhat, which has been hard enough. But she's got there in the end.
Begrudgingly.
She's got there in the end. But she's now got a head of training. She's now got a head of contracts. She's now got staff that go mediating in Yorkshire, in London, and all over the place because she's trained them.
Yeah.
And because I think this is the evolvement plan. If your customers know the standard that they're going to get is the same as what you've given them because you've trained them, like you do with your staff.
Yeah, 100%.
You keep them in your van for a period of time. You show them how to do this, that, and the other. You make sure they deliver the service that you've delivered. Now you're free to go out on your own. Take that van, go.
Any dramas, I'm on the other end of a phone. Just give me a shout.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is it.
Provided there's an onboarding process from leader of business to staff, and there's a culture evolved within that, and that has to happen. That the customer doesn't need teaching, but gets subconsciously, because that's the trust process. I trust you, Chris, therefore I'm going to trust your man. Because you're telling me that your man's going to deliver the right job. Your man's going to deliver the right job, so therefore I trust you. If they don't deliver, I'm on you.
Yeah.
But you're going as business leader. Yeah, that's my job. I take full responsibility to every member of staff who's in my organisation. Because you've got liability. You've got all the things that if they do wrong, you have to pay for it. If they kill someone, you're paying for it. If they fall off a ladder, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
So when you evolve as a business, you've kind of got to evolve with all of those rules and regulations and certificates that allow your staff to be where you put them at the right time, and they're going to behave the right way. So you've got to train them. All your due diligence has to go into you sitting in helicopter viewing the thing now, not being on the tools, but looking visually and going, is everything going right? Because if not, I've got to fix it.
Yeah, I need to get on it. Yeah.
Because I'm the expert. And the customer, which is why your Dorothys and your Daves and your small 2 up, 2 downs, they don't care.
No.
They don't worry. They don't have a headspace for it, because to them, you're just cleaning windows. To a brand, you're not cleaning windows, you're making them look good.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
You're attracting people to them.
If it's a car showroom and it's Porsche, they are immaculate.
Never dirty.
Yeah.
Everything about them is immaculate.
So it's protecting the brand, isn't it? So
You
it's
have
like
to- exactly.
you're
Whereas-
saying about Rolls Royce. Never see a Rolls Royce on the back of a pickup and the back of a breakdown wagon, because they always cover them up if they do break down. Why is that? Protect the brand.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
it's,
That's it, yeah.
yeah.
Dorothy hasn't got a brand.
This is it. She don't give a. She
She's
don't
got
care.
grandkids coming round on Tuesday afternoon after school.
There is an element of keeping up with the Joneses, though, isn't there? Let's be honest. It's like
To a point.
but not insofar as it's life and death.
But that's a personal brand.
Yeah.
But at what level does that kick in? Is that, again, this is no disrespect to the audience, but is that to the 2 up, 2 downs and in the terraced estate, or is it Lytham?
Yeah.
Is it the Lytham set who have got the Porsche on the drive, who have got the... Yes, you can get Porsches in Blackpool and other places. I'm not discriminating, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Those who want to be affluent, those who want to portray affluence, those who want to portray a standing in the community, will therefore have everything around them that says that. They won't have dying flowers in the garden or rusty gnomes. It will all be...
Rusty no.
It will all be on. They will all be on set.
Yeah, yeah.
So the windows, so the gutters, so the tiles, so the solar panels, so will the sky dish. All of it will all be. This looks right,
So that's their personal brand.
because that is their personal, and they can elevate that and they can push it out to an audience, because they're getting people. That's what they need, because that's their self-satisfying thing.
Is there a perception, obviously, that, you know, small businesses gather sales in a different way to how big business... Is the approach any different?
No, it may be visualised differently and it may be discussed differently, but it's the same process.
Is it basically sort of...
How did Jesus get his disciples? Told a story.
Well, something about wine and water getting everybody drunk, wasn't it? Something like
Told
that.
them a story.
Yes.
He told all of his disciples stories, and the disciples went, I like that story.
We're going to say it's very short, similar with Cobra. You read of Cobra in the short story, short quotes. There's a system it's called Cobra.
Right.
I'm not very up on it, but I've heard it in the Canvases pitch. It was the Cobra thing where they'd have a very short story to start with, something in the middle, and then a close, and it would always be the same. Are you relatable to that?
So when we do our storytelling,
Yeah.
we talk about
It's
storytelling.
news to me. I've never heard that.
You've in your story as a salesperson.
Yeah.
You're not talking about Aesop's fables and those type of stories, but at beginning, middle, and end. We're talking about there's a problem, there's a solution, there's a result.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So as you're telling a story, as you're networking, as you're presenting, as you're on social media, you look at the Nike adverts. The problem, getting fit. The solution, going for a run. The result is being fit. But you want to do that in comfortable footwear.
So buy Nike.
So buy Nike. That's pretty much their story. And you watch the films. Watch Nike Air with Matt Damon, the true story. Watch that and you go, that's a different thought process to marketing. It isn't. It's the same.
Yeah.
You watch
It's not that it's
Moneyball.
different. It's that the layperson doesn't think of it this way.
The layperson isn't involved in this. It's business owners. Now, when you've got your one-man band or your small businesses that don't have a marketing team or a marketing professional who know what they're doing, or a sales team and sales professionals, or an operational director and all these experts who have been educated over years and years, and you're doing it because you're good at what you do, and you've then gone, I'm good at this, window cleaning or jet washing or power access or whatever it is. Do you want to fancy coming and joining me do this? Yeah, we'll do that together. Yeah, we'll do that together. You end up with a team of 10, 15 people who are all good at what they do with skills
And a goal in mind.
and a
right?
goal in mind, but they don't actually know how to market. They don't know how to be on social media. You can get used to doing it and put some posts on and fly things out, but the narrative of the social media, the consistency of behaviour compared to brand, compared to status and credibility, what does that mean? Well, you have to match the dots. I don't know what that means. You're not supposed to know what it means. You're a business owner who's really good at being on the tools, at being in a van, being a delivery driver, being whatever it is, whatever the business that you found yourself in. I've worked with businesses worth 15 million quid. Yeah. They are engineers. They are fantastic at what they do, fitting things, fixing things, making sure things don't blow up. Can they market? No. Can they sell?
Technicians?
No.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it doesn't matter what it is, does it? Whether it's cleaning a window,
it's a process,
teaching something, or actually producing something. Technically, you're a technician. You're doing something, but can you market that? And this is the difference, I think, isn't it?
So understanding what you do as a business first and foremost. What value do you add to your audience?
Why you, no one else, sort of thing.
What value does the customer get? What is the result of what you do? As a window cleaner, the result of what you do is clean windows.
Clean windows.
That is it. And that is not disrespectful.
Clean windows that they don't have to clean.
The result of you cleaning the window is they have time. That's it. So what you're selling is time.
Yeah.
That's it.
What's your time worth?
That's it. What's your time worth? Well, it's going to take me 2 hours to clean them windows. It's going to take you 15 minutes. Right then. Pay me £8.50, 10 quid or whatever to clean that window. You can have that time back.
Yeah.
A guy that, business director, multi-million-pound chief executive, is not going to work 60 hours a week and then on a Saturday climb up a ladder and clean his own windows. I've yet to see it. So when you turn around to them and say, listen, if you want clean windows, they're the sorts of people that will have a problem and throw money at it.
Because I'm in the world of, I'm an outsourced commodity. I outsource everything. I don't cut my own grass. I don't clean my own windows. I don't even clean my own bathrooms. Because I've got someone there who's better at it. I'll clean my bathroom and my wife will come in and go, you've missed that, you've done, why? Do you know what, just get a cleaner in. Instead of giving me the earache about it,
I'll pay someone else and they can do it.
just spend £18 an hour and get it done. It saves us doing it every weekend. That's taking the kids' time. And when you've been doing 60 hours a week work, travelling all over the place, I get some people find cleaning therapeutic. I get that some people gardening, cutting grass as a hobby, they love it. And fair play to them. My hobby is going playing golf, going playing football, and spending time with the kids doing whatever I see fit with them. Whether that's going bowling, going driving range, or going to the football, whatever that looks like, my time is for them. Not to clean the bathroom.
But even
not to clean
But
the
it goes
car.
back to what you were saying in the very beginning. The sort of person that finds pleasure in cleaning, the sort of person that enjoys doing it, the sort of person that will happily sacrifice that amount of time during the day is not your ideal customer. Stop focusing on them. Focus on the other people that ultimately, like, Chris, I'm too busy. They're not going to say, Chris, I'm too busy, take it off my hands. But what they are going to do is say, they're going to realise in their head, if he does it, it means I don't have to.
So you flipped it to a business owner, whether you've got one staff, no staff, or 50 staff. What am I really good at as a business owner? Own it, be it, deliver it, and then surround yourself with good people who can do the rest. And you'll hear that from so many business owners, whether it's Branson, whether it's Sugar, and all the rest of them. I'm really good at this, but I'm crap at that, so they do it. I'm crap at that, so they do it.
Steve Jobs.
Exactly.
Surround yourself with successful, driven people and get out the way. That's what he's said that in the past. So it's not wrong.
No.
And it makes me laugh, though, is that you might look at Steve Jobs and say, multi-billionaire, he was no longer with us, but multi-billionaire, blah, blah. That's not really any different to how we approach things as a business owner at our level. So when you go back to what you were saying in the beginning, sales is sales.
The sales
you're
process.
You're talking about numbers.
The sales, it's about activity, behaviour, and performance. Now, if you're not naturally gifted and want to do activity, so you talked about ringing all your customers.
Yeah, 100%.
There's going to be so many business owners going, that's a phone, I ain't ringing my customers. I'm going to send a blanket text or a blanket email and be lazy. Now, we know that happens because we get those emails, we get those text messages, and we get those blanket canvas kind of communication.
Buy my shit emails, yeah.
And whether it's on LinkedIn.
That's in my opinion. I think why people do that, and I think I can relate a little bit to that is they don't want to get that objection. They don't want to receive that objection and then overcome it. It's because if they can't overcome it, they will lose that customer.
They also, it's the feeling.
The feeling, yeah.
The
100%.
salesperson, the business owner who isn't a salesperson but has to be, because as a business owner, you have to be the salesperson.
Yeah, I'm reluctant.
No, you have to be. Because no matter how many staff you've got, you've got to sell the dream, the message, the vision
down all the way down
to your staff. Now, just because you're not knocking on the doors or canvassing yourself or picking up the phone doesn't mean you're not a salesperson. No. Your internal audience is as important as your external audience. So as a business owner, you've got to get everyone in your business on the same page. So the culture, as we call it, the internal brand has to be right. The MD, the leader, has to deliver that, has to own that, has to...
They'll take their lead from you no matter what, won't they?
So there's a sales team I will work with, and there's a sales manager and there's an assistant sales manager. And the sales team have said to the sales manager, we operate better when you're in the room. The sales manager came to me and went, why is that? I went, you don't know? Well, it's because I fire up.
The bounce.
I went, literally, you don't even have to say anything and they'll perform better. Why?
Just knowing that he's there.
Because you're the leader. They are now going, boss is here. They automatically have to deliver something. You can't look like a busy fool when the leader's in, because the leader knows what a busy fool looks like. So when the MD walks in a room, it's not a coincidence. People, oh shit, I best be a bit busier. The boss is here.
Can't bullshit a bullshitter.
This is it. But if the leader knows this and the leader owns it, then the leader's more visible. And that is, so when we talk about sales and marketing, as your personal brand and as your corporate brand, depends how big you are. If you're a one-man band, your personal brand is your corporate brand.
You, yeah.
And I've got that. I'm happy with that.
Waistcoat.
The waistcoat. On all my marketing, you'll see a waistcoat. And you'll see the phrase, how excellent are you, on my LinkedIn post. Because I want you to be excellent. I need your standards to be up here. Now, that doesn't mean your skills have to be, because I can't guarantee you're an 8 out of 10 at sales, or an 8 out of 10 at social media, or an 8 out of 10 at body language, or an 8 out of 10 at planning. But we can make that happen, because we can work on body language, because that doesn't take money, and it's not a skill. It's a mindset, it's a discipline. Now, if you know that, you can teach your staff better ways of sitting, better ways of communicating, just by how they sit, just by how they stand, just by how they hold their head. You can teach all of this because it's there. There's so many how-to classes on YouTube, whether it's plugging something in, fixing a wire, but how to stand when making a phone call, how to sit, your posture.
I make all my phone calls stood up.
Because you feel more assertive.
But if you say so, when I call my customers, like as I have done, as I mentioned previously, I can't sit down. I'm stood up.
I pace.
But I don't so much pace, but I do mill. I mill around, and I'm like looking out the window, or I'm looking at something.
So there's an energy that from you need to dispel that isn't coming through the phone. So when you're standing up, and I gesticulate, my hands are all up. I cannot do a one-to-one session sat down. You know this. Whether I'm in your garden, in your conservatory, or around your living room, I don't sit down.
This is it.
If I've got a classroom full of people, I'm not sitting down all day.
No.
Because my energy has to come out to me, but I can't do it all that way.
No.
I can't verbalise all my energy.
Outwards, yeah.
Because that would just be too much for people.
Yeah. But it's funny how something the way you like say you're on the phone. It's not visual to the person you're talking to.
No.
But it's not for their benefit. It's almost for yours. Because the thing is, if I'm sat down, I feel like
restricted.
I feel restricted. And there's the other thing as well. Sometimes when I make a phone call, I've made phone calls from the garage. While I've got other things in the background that I've got, like the water tank, for example, I might have to change a filter or something like that. And what I'll do is I'll do 3 or 4 phone calls, then I'll mess around with the tools for a bit, have a breather, go straight back at it. I find an office environment restrictive. I think was it Sam was a cameraman, was behind the camera. I said to you in one of the previous podcasts, I get cabin fever when I'm inside, and I don't like being indoors. And so a lot of the time I'm getting up and about and walking around thinking, I can't. I just, you know what I mean? I just feel contained.
So, number 8 on the culture of excellence is habits.
Right.
Creating and breaking habits. you know yourself, you just said it, if you spend too much time doing one thing, you kind of get, oh no, I can't, I need a break. So therefore you're breaking the habit of work to do something else, something creative, or it could be, all right, I need to do a LinkedIn post.
Yeah, take my brain out of that.
But you're taking your brain from one thing to another. Because you know, if you keep doing that one thing, one, it's going to maybe burn out for a moment.
Absolutely demoralise you.
So physically, mentally, demoralising. So you're going, I don't want to do that anymore. Whether it's phone calls, canvassing, knocking on doors.
Oh yeah, you've only got so many times. You have a peak period of 4 hours, 4 key hours. After you get past them 4 hours, there's no point knocking on more doors because your message that you're getting across is literally, they're looking at you going, do you want to win the cleaner? No. Do you want to win the cleaner? You're just not selling. You're burning doors. So you got 4 peak hours and that's it.
And even then, that's maximum. You've got some people who will burst for half an hour and be brilliant, and then stop. Just stop. But as a sales leader, you have to understand what your team looks like.
Yeah.
So even though you're not all salespeople who are going to be listening to this, you are, as business leaders, you are all salespeople, whether you like it or not.
You have it to do.
You've got to be. The bad habits you've got as a non-sales leader is the reluctance to do it. And that's a mindset. It's not a skill, and it's not. I can teach you the skills, but the mindset of actually, I want to pick that phone up. I want to knock on that door. I want to be successful. I want bigger windows. I want more gutters.
The next word is, I want to do that, but.
There's no but.
But that's what I mean.
This is it.
For a lot of people, you hear that all the time. Well, yeah, I do need more customers, and I do need that, but. And then straight away, you're almost like, shut up! Stop talking!
They find an excuse. It's the. I know with I speak about a couple of our canvases. I know when I'm target driven, they're saying we need to hit this number. We've got to get here. And they're like, one of them said to me a short time ago, and I'm like, I actually sat back and listened. He went, Phil, he said, you need to leave me alone. He said, and the reason you need to leave me alone is because you are starting to micromanage me. He said, and you want it now, you need this. And by you putting that pressure on me, is burning me out a little bit. He said, it's making me not want to do my best of my ability. He said, so do me a favour. He said, just leave me alone.
Bugger off.
Go away. I'll go out. I'll do my job and you'll thrive. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll listen. I'll sit back. So I said to Tara, you know what? I'm going to disappear for a couple of days. I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to leave it all in your hands. You call the shots. Don't even tell me. Just do it. If you make a mistake, we'll fix it. I said, but just do it. And you know what? I've come back, I stepped back. A couple of days ago, they went out, they delivered 30 customers. Didn't speak to either of them. Tara, she called the gutters today. She didn't ask me first. She just called it. And I went to myself, I think sometimes being the leader, you can become the problem.
Richard Branson doesn't fly the plane for Virgin Atlantic.
Do you get what I mean?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And that's where the culture of the business, and if you want people to be responsible and accountable, you have to give them responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
And that has to come from themselves. So I'm now accountable for everything I do.
Yeah.
Nobody else. But if I go back to work for someone and I've got a leader and I've got a sales director who's going to say, Stephen, I need you to perform like this for me today. Okay, do us a favour, like you just said.
Yeah.
I'll behave how I want to behave. I'll deliver what I think I need to deliver, because funnily enough, I know what a target looks like. You go and sit in your ivory tower and come back to me when you've got a problem.
Yeah.
That's when I want a conversation. Now, I am that gobshite that will say that. And I've got no problem with
I'm
that.
man after my own heart.
But in a sales team, you need that characteristic. You need that someone who's going to have self-belief and self-accountability and self-responsibility, because the others around him are going to go, if he's going to do that, can I do that? And then as a team, the leaders have gone out the room because they're busy doing leadership stuff. Because not all leaders have to be in a room.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they create a problem.
Yeah,
and that
100%.
could be the micromanagement. I had a sales manager once, and I lived an hour and 20 minutes away from the office. So the drive-in was an hour and 20 minutes. He would always ring me before I've got in the office at 8:30 in the morning. Every morning. And I'm going, my drive-in, I don't need your drama. I don't need this pressure of where you're going today, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, before I've even got to work. Because on my drive to work, now...
Your process, you're thinking through your day and...
As a salesperson, if I've got 2 or 3 pitches on that day, my drive to work, which is an hour and 20 minutes, I'm doing that pitch in my head. I'm practicing my pitch. I'm getting ready for my pitch. Or do you know what? I may be singing a song to relax myself, because that's my process. And different people have different processes. But I know he rang every single salesperson every morning between 7 o'clock and 8:30. And I'm going, why? Get a grip, son. Because some of them need it. Some of them need that conformity, that structure, that ideal world.
Pressure.
Do this, do that, do the other. Yep, boss, you've given me 5 tasks to do today. I'm going to do 5 tasks in the order you've given. And some personalities, when you do the personality profiling, need that and want that. And that's how they will operate, and that's how you'll get the best out of them. It's like the military. There's your task, get them done. Do not come back to me until you've done them. And if you fuck it up, do it again. Don't come to me with your bullshit about why. Don't give me a problem, give me a solution. And that is the way some of the world works. And that is all well and good for that type of person.
How do you think... You talked about, obviously, micromanagement and stuff like that. And again, it's... At some level, you'll experience it in your life. But if you're a business owner, how do you stop yourself from micromanaging? So let's say you have a member of staff, you have your team of staff. They're not even remotely motivated. I don't tell the boss. I can't tell him not to micromanage me.
So you've employed people who aren't self-motivated. So that's your first problem.
Right. Well, there is that, but
that's it done.
I mean, in terms of like people who are micromanaging their staff, but their staff aren't voicing it. How do you identify whether you're a micromanager or not?
So, if you've got the culture right in your business as a leader, micromanagement doesn't come into it. You shouldn't have to micromanage. You shouldn't have to communicate in a pressured environment at any point, because if you're the way I would do it, and different people have different cultures, I'm saying to my team that I've recruited, so I know how they operate, because they've gone through a personality profile, and they've gone through a questioning session, and they've gone through an interview. So if you're not suitable for this job,
that's your fault.
That's your fault. And, well, it's my fault for employing you. But I ain't going to employ you because you ain't right for this job. You've got to be strong as a leader to not take people on for the sake of them being nice.
Not having a bum on a seat. Yeah.
For having a bum on a seat, for the sake of, do you know what, we need it. They're going to have a detrimental effect, not to the business necessarily, and not to the customers necessarily, but to the culture of the team. Over a period of time, that person is going to have a negative impact on Dave, a negative impact on Debbie, a negative impact on somebody else in the building that's going to bring their production levels down, their motivation levels down, their values to the business down. So that bad apple, just don't employ him.
We sat there, didn't we, Chris? And I went, here we go.
I'm saying nothing.
I can't make too many names here because obviously it's going public, but we had somebody...
A mutual friend.
Time ago. Our cleaners, we always emphasise really much that we have a WhatsApp group, a team-oriented thing. If one guy needs a hand, go in the WhatsApp group, give him a hand, give him a touch, help each other out, get the job done together. We put all our vans in the same area to promote our brand. Like, we're in Norris Green today, all 4 vans go to the same area, and our vans are just being seen left crossing all over the shop. And they weren't being vocal with each other because we had somebody in the WhatsApp group who had, should I say, superiority or felt superior to everybody else within the team. And it's not until this guy left that everybody else just clicked. They all just clicked. And they're all having a laugh, they're all having food, they're all going for coffee together, they're all helping each other out, they're all speaking, not even just in work, but after work as well. And I think that's really, when you look from an outside point in and go, oh, okay, I couldn't see that problem until this person left for them all just to click.
That honestly, I could wax lyrical for another hour, mate. But how do people get hold of you if they want to sort of engage your services, if you will? Just sort of give your pitch a little bit to the camera, a little bit, and then.
So you can get me on LinkedIn, Stephen Logan, Stephen with a V, the business facilitator. You'll see the waistcoat, so it's there. Or you can ask Chris my details. He's got them all. 100%. And he will. And if you want a referral, comment or a case study, he's here. But there's loads of other people who can vouch for my services. Happy to do one-to-one workshops. Really happy to do group workshops. So if Chris wants to put on a workshop for 10, 15 of you go in one location to reduce the cost for you, we can do it that way. Or if you want my special time and attention just for you, then get in touch with me. We can do it that way.
Stephen Logan, you are a gent and a scholar. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming on, mate. Thank you, sir.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Right, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Give us a like also on Faceache, and we're looking, hopefully, getting the podcast onto Spotify. So for now, from me and Phil, see you in a bit. Take care.